People living a double life. How big is your secret? I enjoy going to get haircuts at the same salon under a different name and completely made-up job. Real me. Boring teacher and married with 2 kids. Salon me. A man who has traveled the world while test driving cars. I don't really feel bad about it, since most of the time salon workers don't really give a shit about your day, life, and all the other nonsense you guys talk for 15 minutes during a haircut. So I just bullshit and have fun with it.
That's an interesting way to keep things fresh. Acting like someone else during something as routine as a haircut sounds like a good escape. It's funny how haircuts can turn into brief encounters where you can just say whatever. I guess it's a good mix of boredom and creativity. I can see how you might enjoy it more that way. Keeps life interesting, I suppose.
Probably not a cool double life like you would expect, but when I was living away from my parents, who are very strict and don't want me having a romantic relationship, for university, I started dating this guy. They only found out about it quite late into the relationship and never knew really how long we were together for. I didn't like the double life of it, and it made me feel more lonely than anything else. But I didn't have a choice. I couldn't tell them, and I obviously didn't want to break up with the dude because my mom wants me to keep my flower.
That sounds pretty tough. Living a double life can feel really isolating, especially when you're trying to balance your own feelings with what your parents expect. It's hard to keep something important hidden, and it can definitely take a toll on you. Sometimes, being honest with yourself and your feelings might be the way to go, even if it could stir things up at home. Finding that balance is never easy.
To people, I'm this socialite who loves to mix and mingle, have drinks, laugh, introduce like-minded people together, get pictures taken in the newspaper, etc. In real life, I'm in a long-distance relationship with the love of my life. I'm an alcoholic. I can't budget for shit, and miss him so much I think I'm dying. I want to give everything up to just be by his side, have beautiful kids, and love hard. Life isn't fair.
It's interesting how things can look different from the outside. People see the fun and social side, but there's so much more happening beneath. That feeling of missing someone far away can be heavy. Balancing personal struggles like addiction and finances adds a whole new layer. It's a tough spot to be in, wanting a normal life with someone you love while dealing with everything else. Life can definitely throw some curveballs.
Throwaway for obvious reasons. Currently 19 years old, and I'm lucky enough that my parents have been paying for my college. What they don't know is I've been taking the money and investing in stock options. Current net worth as of 2 weeks ago is about $600K. I expect to hit above 1 million come December. Edit. I'll be answering everyone's response, and I will not be deleting this account. I'm sorry if I'm slow to reply. I've been overwhelmed with PMS, but I'll get to all of them. Thank you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
That's an interesting situation. Using that money for investments instead of college expenses is a big risk. If you hit that million mark, it could change a lot for you. Just remember, managing money at a young age comes with its own challenges, too. Hope you're ready for whatever comes next.
I basically lived a double life for about 2 years, but not in the traditional shady/secretive way. I'm a consultant and was assigned to a client 1,000 miles away from where I live. I needed to be there Monday to Friday, every other week. I ended up meeting a whole other group of friends, including a girl who became my best friend and work wife, nothing sexual. I'm married and wouldn't cross that line. It was weird having a whole other life in a faraway city with people whom my wife and friends have never met.
That does sound like a unique setup. It's interesting how you can form close connections in a different place while still maintaining your main life back home. I think having that extra group of friends can be refreshing. It's like having a little escape and a chance to see a different side of yourself. Balancing it all must have required some careful navigation, though.
I have friends and family, but I can't connect with any of them emotionally. I'm emotionally flat most of the time, so I fake my emotions when I'm in a social situation. I hate it. I want to be like other people. Medications help somewhat. I'm fond of some people, but that's as close as I get. I feel like a fraud.
It sounds tough to feel that way. I think a lot of people struggle with emotional connections. Pretending can be exhausting. I went through a phase where I felt disconnected too. Having some support, even if it's just understanding friends, helps. It's okay to acknowledge those feelings, even if it feels like you're faking it sometimes. You're not alone in this, and it's good that you're recognizing what you're feeling.
Pretty big. News journalism is a highly competitive field where you have to prove your worth with every story you publish. Not to mention that newspapers are a dying industry. That alone would make my plate full enough. But on top of that, I have to put on a disguise every morning to conceal the fact that I'm a super strong alien with bulletproof skin who has more than once saved the Earth from annihilation. I deal by taking it one day at a time.
That sounds like a pretty interesting life. Balancing the pressure of journalism with keeping your alien identity under wraps would be a lot to handle. It's cool that you take it day by day, though. Everyone has their struggles, even if yours involves saving the world. Keeping it low-key must help manage the stress.
My dogs think I'm a super powerful, all-giving deity, capable of leading them safely around a dangerous and threatening neighborhood twice a day, doing my boundary, sitting all in one spot, opening tins of incredibly delicious nosh, opening and shutting doors, cutting their nails, washing their beds, when in truth, I'm a very boring and useless human who loves to do as little as possible. Don't tell them.
It's funny how pets see us. My cat thinks I'm the one who controls the food and lets her in and out. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to figure out my own life. She has no idea I spend most of the day just scrolling through my phone. It's kind of nice to be someone's hero even when you feel pretty average. Just wish I could keep that illusion going.
My secret is about $10 million big, plus change. I'm a grad student in my 20s. I guarantee you, if we met, you'd have no idea. And while my friends know I'm well off, they have no clue the true extent of it. I guess I maintain this secret by not acting like a dick, not leading a hedonistic lifestyle, and never discussing my financial situation in detail to anyone, as it's no one's business anyway.
It's interesting how people can assume things about you based on your lifestyle. Your story shows that wealth isn't just about flaunting it. Staying grounded and not letting money change you is important. It's a good reminder that what we show to the world isn't always the whole picture. Keeping things private can sometimes be more valuable than the money itself.
I'm a bit late, but whatever. I'm pansexual and an atheist. Among my religious, homophobic parents, and anyone in contact with them, I am quiet and introverted. I hardly speak, have no opinions, and I'm generally seen as sweet, but a bit awkward. I'm a completely different person around my friends and people I meet. I'm louder, more extroverted, I smile more, I laugh loudly, and no subject is taboo. I'm confident, opinionated, and I talk a bit too much. I don't want to lie about who I am, but I don't want to hurt my parents either. So I just hide it.
It sounds tough to live in two different worlds. Balancing who you are with the expectations of your parents can be really draining. It's interesting how people often feel freer around friends than family. Maybe one day, you'll feel comfortable sharing your true self with them. But it's also understandable that you want to avoid conflict. Finding that balance is tricky, and it's okay to take your time with it.
This is just my thread. So in school, I'm a quiet, shy boy who has no friends and gets bullied a lot, which is really hard to cope with sometimes. Outside of school, I have like a ton of friends on Xbox, and it's the best second life you can have. They believe everything for 'em. living in a super rich house to having the best and the most fun time of your life and the best sports player on your school team. So thank you to Xbox for saving me from the cruel real world. I acutely do play sports outside of school, not like I'm good, but let's say better than 50% on my team and live in a nice house.
It's tough being that quiet kid at school. The bullying can really wear you down. But it's interesting how gaming and online friends can create a different reality. In that space, you can be whoever you want, and feeling accepted makes a huge difference. It's good to hear you still find joy in sports. Balancing those worlds can help navigate the tough spots in real life.
This isn't a huge one, but it can be stressful at times. I love to drink and party, but my parents don't drink and don't approve of me drinking at all, even though I'm 32. Now let me say up front that I'm not an alcoholic and I don't drink every day or even every week. But I do really enjoy a good bit of binge drinking with friends when I get a good chance. Because my parents are so opposed to it, and because I don't want to upset them, I keep it hidden from them for the most part. This doesn't really involve lying or anything, and it's fairly easy since I live in a different state. I just don't do much drinking when I'm visiting them or when they're visiting me. It has been a pain in the ass, though, on the rare occasion that I'm hung over as hell around them and have to pretend not to be. Honestly, I do hate that I'm hiding this from my parents. I'd rather be able to be open and honest about basically everything with them, but I don't think there's any way they wouldn't be upset about it, so it's easier just to keep them in the dark about it.
It sounds like a tough spot to be in. Balancing your enjoyment with friends and wanting to keep your parents happy can lead to some awkward situations. Hiding it is one thing, but managing a hangover around them must really suck. It's understandable to want that open relationship, but sometimes you just have to navigate things carefully. Everyone has their own way of handling these kinds of family dynamics, I guess.
I'm no longer in the situation, but it was as crazy a double life as I've ever heard of. There's some more of the story in this account's comment history, and I'll check on it again for a couple days if you have questions, but I keep it well separate from my regular profile. Life 1, pretty typical college student. Classes, problem sets, going out with friends on the weekends. Life 2, total authority over what treatments were allowed for a genetically ill and improperly classified as mentally ill patient at an institute specializing in highly secretive and questionably legal experimental medicine, who were very interested in doing research on my ward. I dealt with it by making a clean break when my ward's safety was ensured and the timing was appropriate. I still keep tabs on their life, but only at a distance. They're in a much better situation now, and I'm not going to do anything to drag either of us back into that world. Edit. Also, you're welcome to be skeptical, and rightfully so, but this is a 100% serious response.
That's a wild contrast, living both those lives. Balancing college life with something so intense must have been tough. I get why you'd want to keep it separate. That final decision to leave when things were safe shows a lot of awareness and care. It's good to hear your ward is in a better place now. Sometimes stepping away is the best option, no matter how hard it may seem.
It's not a double life, per se. It's more a thing of appearances and perceptions. I enjoy debating, and I'm big on semantics and proper use of language to convey your intentions. The short end of it is that I think people often either very poorly convey their thoughts or do not think about the implications of the things they say. So, I look like a raging pedant who's only out to make himself look smart. Thing is, I'm huge on human rights, empathy, and making sure I try to understand the perspective everyone comes from when I deal with them. I'm a pacifist who cares enormously what other people think about me, and I support feminism and various associated equality movements. But the only thing people see about me is what they see on the surface, which is that I don't like to see people misrepresent their own opinions through half-baked use of linguistics. So I'm that guy. It's cool because I don't do decent things to get recognized, but it stinks when everyone who knows me, including most friends, know me for just one thing.
I get it. You want to make sure people understand what's really being said. But it's frustrating when they only see that surface level. You care about people and their perspectives, yet they label you as just a know-it-all. It's not like you're trying to be difficult. Just wanting clarity can make you seem intense. It's a weird spot to be in, where your intentions aren't recognized. People often miss the bigger picture.
Can't really say it was a double life, but I certainly had an heteronym for a couple of months. I met a girl with the same nationality as me, and I told her I was from another country, and we spoke in English, not native language, for a couple of months. Whenever I was with her, I was afraid that someone that knew the real me would approach me and talk to me. Eventually, I started to feel bad for doing it and told her the truth.
That's an interesting situation. It shows how sometimes we can get caught up in trying to be someone else. It must have been stressful to keep up that lie, especially if you were worried about being found out. It's good that you eventually decided to be honest. I guess it taught you something about being true to yourself and the importance of authenticity in relationships.
My double life isn't really a double life, I guess. I'm a secret millionaire. My friends all know that I am successful in some degree with what I do. However, to no extent do they, or will they know how much I have in my accounts. Yes, when I go out, I buy drinks, pay for all the flash stuff, but that can happen when someone is simply good with money, when in fact I have a basic job in IT security, but I also have 5 investment properties, a large share portfolio, I own my own company, and also own a few smaller companies. I refuse to tell anyone other than my closest friends. Even my partner's parents do not know.
It's interesting how people can see you in one light but have no idea what's really going on. I've got a friend who seems just like everyone else but has a lot more beneath the surface. He acts like he's living paycheck to paycheck, but he's actually got multiple properties and a business. You'd never guess it from how he carries himself. It makes you wonder about everyone else's stories too.
My parents, family, and most of my friends think I hate people and want to live a quiet life. My close friends know I prefer the big city, while working on a project that hopefully will change the face of independent media. The only issue is funding so I can get out of this house and work on it full time. Should I create a Patreon or something while I work up to a Kickstarter?
It sounds like you have a clear vision and the drive to make it happen. A Patreon could be a good way to engage with supporters while you work on your project. It might help you build a community around your idea and generate some funding. Plus, it keeps you connected to people, even if your family thinks you want to be alone. Looks like you're balancing the quiet life with big ambitions.
At school, I try and act really relaxed and don't associate myself with anyone who plays games. And if I do, I try and keep it on the down low. If a friend comes up to me and starts talking about it while I am in front of others, I will try and change the topic or bat it down. When I get home, it's almost like I switch personas and can vent through the online world. Makes you think what secrets others have.
It's interesting how we all have different sides. At school, I had a similar vibe, keeping things low-key around people. When I was home, though, I felt free to be myself and connect with others online. It's funny how we wear masks in public. Makes you wonder how many others are hiding their true interests.
Didn't really feel like posting this on my main, so made a quick throwaway. I tell all my friends that I'm a degree-qualified engineer, earning over £50,000 a year with huge savings ready to buy a house. In reality, I never went forward with my degree, so I'm not really an engineer. I'm more of a technician, earning £20,000 a year and with no savings. Whenever I go out, I pay for everyone's drinks, I pay for hotels, food, etc., and can easily spend multiple hundreds of pounds in a weekend, and I act like it's nothing. In reality, if I stop spending so much money when I go away, I could probably have the money to buy the car I want. I've been trying for months to get together enough money to buy a new car. It's a car that I realistically can't afford, and will end up taking a loan out to buy. I like cars, so I'm not necessarily buying it to keep up the act, but it's still a huge consideration when I think about what car to buy.
It sounds like you're caught in a tough spot. Putting on that front for your friends can really weigh on you. You've got this image to uphold while juggling your actual financial situation. It's kind of wild how easy it is to overspend when you want to fit in or be the fun one. Maybe stepping back and figuring out what you really want, without the pressure, could help you find a better balance.
By day, I'm apparently a competent software developer working on this great project. I'm just jamming code together to see if it works. I'm sure they're going to turn around and say, "Christ, Sabenko, you really are stupid. You're fired, and we're hiring someone who doesn't cry in a corner when we mention PHP." I only managed to get this job because it was a temp position, so they didn't ask any actual technical questions.
It's funny how work can feel that way sometimes. You put in the hours, but deep down, you're just trying to keep your head above water. It's like being on a tightrope, hoping no one notices you're wobbling. I remember a friend felt the same during his first tech job, just getting through each day without a breakdown. Eventually, he found his footing, though it took time and a lot of learning.
I have been with my BF for 3.5 years, and my parents still think I'm dating women. But I am moving in with him soon, and will come clean about my life. My coworkers think I don't do anything all weekend, but I go all of these places with my BF, I just don't tell them about him. I'm getting better about not being ashamed that I'm gay little by little.
It's rough when your life doesn't match up with how people see you. Hiding a big part of yourself can be tiring. Moving in together sounds like a big step, and coming clean will probably feel like a relief. It's good to hear you're getting more comfortable with who you are. You deserve to be open and happy, and it's nice to see you working toward that.
I am dating my assistant at work. It is extremely stressful. I'm in oil/gas. It's a sexist field. I took feminism at uni and got a master's in philosophy, specializing in ethics. It is hard to fight for a balanced paradigm with that in the back of my mind. How I deal with it is remember that you can never tell how a good thing will happen, and remain professional.
It's kind of a tough situation when personal and professional lives mix like that. Working in a tough industry and managing a relationship with your assistant sounds challenging. Balancing those thoughts about sexism and your principles must be tricky. Staying professional seems smart, but it's clear you're taking it all seriously. Just gotta keep focusing on the positives and how things unfold, I guess.
When I started dating my now fiancé, I was a very addicted pothead. I would smoke at least 3 times a day, more on weekends. I had a group of friends who I would just smoke and play Smash Brothers with. I would spend at least $200 on weed a month. She didn't know about this until after college when she wanted to move in with me, so I told her. I continued for a while until I realized how unfulfilling it was making my life, and how unattractive it was to my girlfriend. It's amazing how people won't ever notice how often you get high when you are always high.
It's interesting how habits can sneak up on you. I remember hanging out with friends, just playing games and not realizing how much time and money we spent on it. It took a reality check, like wanting to be better for someone else, to really see the impact. It must have been tough to face that and change. Sometimes, it takes a relationship to prioritize what truly matters.
During my day, I'm a secretary for my local city. At night, I'm a burlesque dancer. My secret is kept from my family as well as my co-workers. I did try talking about my passion and the reasons why I felt it was important to me, self-confidence, embracing personal fears, etc., with my mother, but was threatened with being never allowed into her house or life again if found out doing it. My heart was broken, and I've kept it very secret ever since. As far as my job goes, it's indeed a secret. I worked hard for the respect of my peers, especially as a female, and for my position, and I want to keep my business and pleasure separate.
It's pretty wild how different lives can be. You're doing something that brings you confidence during the night, while living a more traditional day job. Keeping it all under wraps must be tough, especially when family is involved. Sounds like you're balancing two worlds. Respecting your boundaries at work makes sense too. It's your life, and you should be able to enjoy it in your own way without others dictating what you do.
There's AJ. Crew by my house, I go in frequently when I feel like splurging. One time a sales guy was pressuring me pretty badly when I was trying on a nice suit. I was 75% interested in actually buying. And in order to be courteous and not make him feel like I was wasting his time, I said, "Well, I think I'm going to wait off until I check with my brother, since it's a gift for him." He says, "Oh, okay. It seemed like you were picking a suit out for yourself." Then I said, "Well, he's actually my identical twin brother, and we're still the same weight. I've been going in for the past 2 years, switching on and off between myself and fake twin brother Nick. I feel no shame."
That's kind of funny. Sounds like you found a way to keep it light while shopping. Switching it up with the sales guy is clever. It's cool you can keep going back and mess with him a little. Plus, using your twin as an excuse must make shopping a bit more entertaining. It's nice to see you don't feel bad about having some fun with it.
Pretty lame for me. At work, I put my game face on, almost as if I was trying to be the house MD, of aircraft overhauling, taking intellectual swings at engineers, and just being a not trying to but still behave like a lucky jerk. As soon as I get home, I wonder how the hell I ended up like this, and feel depressed and jealous at how everyone travels, find the love of their lives, or do interesting stuff in general as I crack open another beer.
Sounds like a tough spot. You put on a front at work, trying to play the role of someone confident and smart, but it's hard to switch that off at home. It's common to feel down when you see others living their lives and you're stuck in a routine. That feeling of missing out can hit hard, especially when you're just trying to unwind with a drink.
My mom is a hairdresser, and her clients have been with her for many years. One in particular lied to her for over 20 years. The woman was diagnosed with a brain tumor and died about a week after the diagnosis. The problem is, she lied to everyone, including her husband, whom she left penniless after overspending on her boyfriend. It was surreal finding out the truth.
That's a heavy story. It must have been tough for your mom to find out about the lies after so many years. It's strange how some people can hide such big parts of their lives, especially from those close to them. The impact on her family, and even on your mom, must have been significant. Life can be pretty complicated sometimes.
I ran into a school, TAFE, friend who stopped showing up about 6 months prior. We went out for beers, and he confided in me that he was too afraid to tell his parents he quit school, so he'd just been coming into the city every day and walking around for 8 or so hours. He had nowhere else to go. Poor kid. Your story reminded me of that guy. Hope he's doing well now.
That's tough. I had a classmate who disappeared too. He always seemed like he had it together, but he just stopped coming to class one day. Turns out he was struggling with some personal stuff. We eventually caught up, and it was clear he felt lost for a while. Sometimes you don't know what's going on under the surface. I hope both of them are figuring things out.
I do this all the time with my family. I have friends, but I just like to be alone at times. I used to do it because I didn't have friends though. Everyone tends to avoid the cigar-smoking goth chick that has 70% of her body coated in tats. However, once you get to know me, I am really actually pretty nice.
I get that. Sometimes being alone feels better than dealing with people. It's funny how looks can change perceptions. A lot of folks probably wouldn't approach you at first. Once they get to know you, they realize you're not what they assumed. It's cool you found a way to enjoy your own company, even if it was out of necessity before. Getting past the surface can lead to some unexpected friendships.
I feel like hiding wealth is easier than being honest about how to deal with wealth. I can see how it could cause complications in certain relationships, but at the same time, it would be more about your approach to wealth and fostering a dynamic that you're comfortable with the people you care about. Having to move and start anew seems like perpetuating an endless cycle.
I get what you're saying. Wealth can definitely change the vibe in relationships. Some people feel pressured if they know about it, or they might treat you differently. It's all about how you handle it, really. Moving and starting fresh can seem like running away from the situation instead of dealing with it head on. Might be better to find a balance that works for both you and your close ones.
I grew up poor, so I tend to turn away from that kind of behavior. This is a little counterintuitive for me. I grew up in money, nothing crazy, and you could always spot new money by spending habits. People that grew up in money were usually frivolous in spending and never had anything too flashy, while people who started making good money would buy super flashy things.
It's interesting how money shapes our behavior. I had a friend who grew up with less, and they were always cautious about spending. I noticed the same pattern with others from similar backgrounds. Meanwhile, some of my friends from well-off families tend to splurge on flashy stuff. It's like their experiences influence how they view money and what they want to show off. Makes you think about values and how we handle success.
I'm out to get a piece of advice. Would you be willing to mentor someone who's trying to support a family on a single income? I've been looking for someone who doesn't mind advising on investments, budgeting, and things of that sort. Just trying to get out of debt and make something of my life. PM if you're interested. Smiley face.
It's great that you're reaching out for advice. Supporting a family on one income can be tough. I had a friend who went through something similar. He started budgeting strictly and took up side gigs. Over time, he managed to pay off his debt and even saved a bit. It's about consistency and finding the right resources. If you keep at it, you'll find your way. Good luck with your journey.
A combination of scholarships and my parents putting in a ridiculous percentage of their income into my education meant that I went to a school where the rest of the students were extremely rich. I'm talking about people who owned 2 or 3 vacation houses and went on vacations every break from school. It was interesting for me because I grew up used to a sense of luxury, but not expecting it. To me, it was normal that my family rented a 2-bedroom apartment, but some of my friends' families own mansions. This is a major city where land is expensive. I like fine food, but I still consider getting pad thai from the place down the street to be a better treat. As for finding someone you get along with, try to find someone who values the simple things. Good luck.
It's kind of funny how perspectives shift based on where you grow up. You realize that luxury can be relative. My friends had homes I could only dream of, but I found value in the little things, like a good meal or a day out. It taught me to appreciate experiences over possessions. In the end, I look for friends who get that, who value life's simplicity just as much as the fancy stuff.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.